What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers today beat the Memphis Grizzlies, picking up their first win against an above 500 opponent since February 6th. And the only reason it's since February 6th is because the Kings beat the Cavs tonight. But the Blazers get a good win against the Grizzlies without Ja Morant as they dominate the Grizzlies. Get up by as much as about 20 points, win by 16, a hot shooting night for your Blazers as Deni Avdija almost gets a 30-point triple-double, 31 points, 16 rebounds, 8 assists, had a phenomenal first half, cooled off in the second. That's going to lead to a fun but interesting conversation about, what is Deni capable of 40, 50-point games? He seems to tail off there in the second half every time he has a good first half. But listen, that first half was a masterclass by him. We're going to break down that game. We're going to break down Anthony Simons. He got a lot of shots up tonight. Hit some clutch, timely buckets. We're going to talk about Scoot Henderson, who continues to struggle a little bit with his shot. We're going to talk about the Blazers' defense because the Blazers played some good defense today. I thought they played with a ton of energy on that end today. And we're going to break down the play-in race because the Blazers are now 2.5 games back. Would you look at that, Eric? You beat a winning team, you gain a game on the Mavs, who are falling apart at the seams. They're now tied with the Suns. So the Blazers, 2.5 games back. If they can keep catching good teams without their best players, especially at home, maybe they can actually make a run at this thing. Eric, what's going on, man?
2 games, right?
Yeah,
it's not 2.5, it's 2.
It's two and a. Is it only 2?
Yeah.
See, what I hate about going live as fast as we do is I check ESPN after the game is final and they don't update the standings fast enough. So, yeah, I stand corrected. The Blazers, here I am shortchanging them. 2 games out of 10th. Watch how fast I update the headline. 2 games out of 10th. Eric, how's it going, man?
Oh, not too bad. Just enjoyed the Blazers putting a beatdown on the Grizzlies. Just trying to get this tweeted in Discord and all that.
Yep. Blazers beat down the Grizzlies today. Leave your thoughts on the game in the live chat. Always enjoy reading those. Leave a like on the stream as well. We're just going to break down this game. We'll talk a little bit about March Madness. The first round starts tomorrow. Excited for that. But we got a good game to break down. Didn't really know what to expect from the Blazers tonight facing a team without Ja Morant. The Blazers, of course, when they faced good teams without their best players or even without their whole starting lineup to the point where it gets investigated by the NBA in OKC's case, the Blazers still have not been able to win those games. Tonight was different. Tonight, you had some good defensive performances, a good shooting performance from the Blazers. As I will update this real quickly. A good 3-point shooting night from your Portland Trail Blazers. And the funny thing is, it wasn't really Anthony Simons. He didn't have the best 3-point shooting night, but the Blazers as a team make 39% from 3. They were above 40 pretty much the entire game. And they really shot the ball well in the first half. Started 11 for 22 from 3. Deni Avdija started 4 for 5 from 3. He was absolutely on fire to start this game. And that was a fun first half to watch from him. And I'm really looking forward to that conversation because he has halves where he looks like a legit star. He has halves where he looks like sometimes a top 15 player in the league. What he did in the first half was absolutely dominant against a good Memphis defense. I know they didn't have Ja Morant. That doesn't really hurt their defense. You still had Jaren Jackson Jr. out there. You still had Desmond Bane out there. What Deni Avdija did in the first half was masterful. Looked like an absolute star. And unfortunately, he tailed off a bit. In the second half, I was rooting for him to get 40. I tweeted out I'd be disappointed if he didn't get 40. I want my guy to put together 2 halves like that, and we could be talking about a 50-point game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But finished with 31, so 5 points in the second half after 26. It's still a great game, but that just shows you how great his first half was. And, man, what can he do to sustain it for 2 halves in a game? That's kind of the question. But, that dude was rebounding everything. 16 boards, 8 assists as well. You could tell that he got a little bit gassed there in the second half. Ended up on the floor multiple times in the second half. And that's Deni Avdija for you, man. So I am continuing to enjoy watching him play, and it's crazy to me that he was coming off the bench earlier this season for this Blazer team. Eric, I'll let you start with what you want to talk about. There's a few different topics we're going to have to get into on this stream. The floor is yours, man. I don't know if you want to talk about offensive rebounds. 22 is impressive, but leave it up to you.
Yeah, let's just start with Deni. Man, if he's hitting that three ball, I mean, he's not going to go, he was 5 for 6 or something in the first half. He's not going to do that all the time, but if he's hitting that three ball consistently, it opens up everything for him, much like we talked about with Scoot. Because he's already a good driver with his strength and ability to switch hands and stuff like that. But if you have to respect his 3-point shot more too, it's just gonna open up all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah, man, absolutely. He's not going to shoot 5 for 6 from 3 every half.
Yeah.
I want to see 40-point, 50-point games from him because I think he's capable. You know what I mean? I think he's capable. It's just he plays so hard. He seems to get gassed in the second half, and he's had some games lately where he gets a little sloppier near the end of games, and I don't even blame him for it because it's like, oh, man, this dude is the hardest competing player on the floor a lot of nights and is playing his ass off, so you would expect him, especially a game like this, he plays 39 minutes, you would expect him to get tired at the end of games and not be able to sustain like the rebounding with the passing, with the scoring. But man, when he has it all going, he's like literally dominant, right? We hear dominating. That's dominating, right? That's dominating what Deni did tonight.
Yeah. Brandon Lee with the $2 donation. Will Deni make All-Star next year? I don't know. It's too early to tell that, and I mean, there's a lot of other factors. I think the Blazers have to be, in the top 10 at least by All-Star voting. If we're in the playoff picture, I think someone's got to get some votes. So, I don't know if it'll necessarily be Deni, and we don't know what our team will look like next year either around him. I don't know. But, he definitely, obviously if he plays like he has the last handful of games for a full season and was averaging, 20 and 10 and 5 assists or whatever, that's definitely all-star type numbers.
Yeah, man. It just comes down to sustaining it a little bit more because he has the talent. He has the ability. He's the best ISO scorer with at least 40 possessions in the league, most points per possession, right? And we've talked about how the offense looks a lot better when you have Deni and how much worse it looks when you don't have Deni because of how stagnant the offense gets. And he's been the ultimate bailout this year, whether it's scoring for himself or, he made a bunch of nice passes there in the second half because Memphis was completely overreacting to him because he cooked them in the first half. And he made some really nice kick-out passes. There's a reason he had 8 assists. He probably should have had a triple-double if the Blazers made a couple more wide-open threes that he manufactured for him. And it's, and that's the good thing about Deni, right? He's not going to necessarily go out there and hunt a 40-point game or hunt a 50-point game. He's going to make the right play, and maybe that's part of the reason why we'll have first halves where he'll torch teams, and then the second half, teams are really trying to key in on him, and he'll just try and make the right play because that's what he's about. So does that lead to him being an all-star if he can't, average 22 or 23 a game? I don't know. But I don't know if he might be able to average that many points. I just think it's sustaining the scoring a little bit more and then maybe being even a little bit more aggressive with his shot because a lot of the all-stars in the league, man, they're at least a little selfish with hunting their shot or getting shots off. And there's a lot of times where I feel like Deni might not be selfish enough, especially considering he's been statistically the best ISO scorer in the league, points per possession. Now, that's not to say that he is the best ISO scorer in the league. Part of the reason why those numbers are so good are probably because he does a really good job of picking his spots when to shoot or whatever, right? But, so there's always context that goes into stats like that needs to be acknowledged. But, I mean, he's been the ultimate bailout for this team, and just phenomenal stuff. So, it's an interesting conversation. What's the next step for Deni? But lately he's kind of taken it, man. He's kind of taken it. He had that stretch. Let me just pull up his game log here so I can actually reference this correctly. He had that stretch where he had or let's just look at the month of March. He's averaging 21 a game, 10 boards, 5 assists, and that doesn't count this game. That's going to help his numbers because ESPN doesn't count the most recent game until after a while. He had a 30-point game against Cleveland, 30 points, 12 boards, 10 assists. He had 34 points, 16 boards, 6 assists at Golden State. He had 27 points, 15 boards, 5 assists versus the Knicks. He had 19, 6, and 6 against Toronto on 8 field goal attempts. like that's a quiet game in this month, but 19 points on 8 field goal attempts with 6 assists and 6 boards. I mean, that's a good game, and that almost seems pedestrian for him this month, which is a testament to how well he's playing. Last game, a little quieter, but 15.6 boards, 2 assists. That's kind of right in line with his per-game averages this season, and that's a down game in this recent stretch. And then, of course, tonight, 31 points, 16 boards, 8 assists for him, 9 for 18 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, 8 for 9 from the free throw line. He's shooting 45% from 3 this month. Around 50% from the field. The turnovers have ticked up a little bit. He has a couple high turnover games in there, but when you're doing as much as he's doing offensively as a scorer as well as a playmaker, you're going to have a couple of high turnover games. So just a phenomenal month of March for him right now. Like what he's been in March is an all-star caliber player. Right. Can he do it for a whole season is the next question.
Yeah, so Elizabeth Allen says not really. The top 2 to 3 spots are the only ones that get in because of seeding, not top 10, referring to what I said earlier. Yes, I agree with that, but the problem is if the Blazers are 13th or 14th or 12th or something, they're probably not getting an all-star with fringe all-star numbers, right? So he would have to either be like an MVP type player or putting up like triple-double, close to a triple-double or something, or some, to get noticed, like, or averaging, 27 points per game or something like that. Like you're definitely detracted from being an all-star if you're not putting up like insane numbers on a really bad team. So all I was saying was if Portland was a playoff team and had a player putting up fringe all-star stats, that gives them a bump to possibly being an all-star, whereas if you're not in the playoff picture, you're probably not getting that bump.
Yeah. I think his role is going to be really interesting to see, not just the rest of the year if they're competing for a playing spot. Like, does he keep this up the rest of the year, number one? Number two, how does that affect how the team views him going into next year and wants to utilize him? Especially if they maybe bring in a new coach, which I don't know. I feel like is less and less unlikely by the day, unfortunately. So if it's Deni Avdija is our guy going into next year because he finishes the season playing like this, then yeah, maybe he could be an all-star. But we've seen times where he gets a little shuffled out of the offense and has some games where he doesn't shoot that much. And, that's just not what all-stars do. Like, all-stars are always have the ball in their hands, always making plays, always a focal point for their own team. So I think that's a question going into next season, especially with how he's playing right now, is how do the Blazers view Deni? Do they view him as a number one option going into next year, especially if they're not able to, like, add a star or, obviously if they got Cooper Flagg, he might be your number one option off the bat, right? But barring something like that, do they go into next season like, Denny's our number one option, or do they go into next season like Anthony's our number one option? The funny thing is Denny put up, the stats he did tonight with Anthony shooting, 25, 26 shots. So it's not like they can't both be high volume options, right? In today's NBA, you're gonna have multiple high volume guys. It's just a question of, will he stop getting a little shuffled out of the offense next season? Will he be more steady of like a 20 to 22 point per game guy? Because that's the next step for him. And he's done it in stretches this year where he's been very, very good and dominant. And his season stats, maybe don't do it justice because he really struggled to start the year adjusting to being in a new situation in Portland. So he's been playing really good basketball for a while. It's just consistently achieving that higher level of play, which is one of the hardest things to do, to take that jump from being really good to like consistently star level and consistently dominating games. So he's done it for a stretch here in March. He had a stretch at the end of January that was similar, from like January 8th through January 28th, 3-week span where he was dominant, culminating in a 30-point game versus Milwaukee in Dame's return. But, in February, he only averaged 14 points, 5 boards, 3.5 assists, right? And he had a lot of games where, like, he played, 23 minutes versus Indiana and was 2 for 9 and barely, he only played 23 minutes. He had no fouls, right? And it was like, oh, he started struggling, so Chauncey only played him 23 minutes. So in order for him to be a star, or in order for him to be that guy, it's like, it doesn't matter if he's 2 for 9. It doesn't matter if he's struggling. He's good enough where we're going to play him 35 minutes and we just trust him to figure it out, right? So the thing is, he's played so well lately that, of course he's going to play heavy minutes. Of course he's going to average 34 minutes this month when he's easily the best player on the floor. But what happens if he starts to have a stretch where he's struggling and the Blazers have some other talent? Do they still run things through Deni, or do they start turning into all the other shot-creating talent they have on their roster, especially next year if Scoot takes a jump, Sharpe takes a jump, if you keep Anthony Simons? So that's a really interesting narrative to watch over the next calendar year.
Yeah, and we talked about this, I don't know, it might have been like a couple months ago, but they were talking about it. Lamar was talking about it on the game, during the game today. I think the next step, especially if he's going to be consistent shooting the 3-point shot, that next step I think would be exploring posting him up and running some of the offense through like an inside-out situation where he can draw a double team sometimes and kick to the open shooter, or just get the ball in a position where he can use his strength to back a player down and try to get to the rim that way, instead of always having to do it off the drive from the perimeter. I wish they would explore that a little more, and I was happy to hear Lamar echoing that tonight as well.
Yeah, now I think the Blazers need a little bit more shooting on their roster to effectively explore that. I think being a bottom 5 shooting team, it's hard to run low post offense through anyone, just because you'll end up with defenses collapsing off somebody who's not a shooter, right? So it's like, if you got Chris Murray out there on the floor, unfortunately, teams are going to collapse off him if he continues to be a 26% 3-point shooter, right? And they'll double Deni, and that's going to be the option is, okay, you kick out to a dude that's a 26% 3-point shooter, especially if you're running, Klingon. So he's going to be around the rim already, most likely. Although he hit a 3 today. Maybe he'll be a floor spacer at some point. But I do think the Blazers, I don't know where they rank in 3-point shooting. It's somewhere right around 25th, 26th in the league. Tonight helped a little bit. But I think they need...
25th.
Yeah, 25th in the league.
Memphis is 10th, by the way. We held them way below their average.
Yeah, it's just like I definitely want to explore that. I just think shooting needs to be addressed this offseason for this team.
Yeah, I think that's unquestionably their number one need this offseason.
Yeah.
You've got good defenders. I mean, if you have 3-and-D players, that's even better. But we need shooting. Yep.
Which leads us to a donation, $2 donation from the Uprisen, 2-month channel channel member, by the way. He must have changed his name to the Uprism, which I like. I respect it. Oh, it's Christopher Aquino.
Christopher Aquino.
Yeah. I love the name change. Hell yeah. We have uprisen. $2 donation. Would you trade our number one this year plus something for Zion? Now, it'd be hard not to if we're sitting there at like 10th or 11th, but that's also...
It's not going to get.
Yeah, he's raising his trade value tremendously right now because he's actually playing and he's playing really well. The injury issues, if he can put any of that to bed, that's going to completely change his trade value, which is what he's doing right now with the way he's playing. So, but would I do it? I mean, value-wise, you kind of have to do it, but it's also doubling down on, like, yeah, more shot creation and less shooting. You know, like, we're not fixing our shooting issue in that case. So I do think the fit with the core is a little clunky, but it does give you that star, and then you kind of figure out the rest. There's so many downsides to trading for Zion with his injury history, some questions about his commitment, and then the lack of shooting. How exactly does he fit in with the core as well, where I would be hesitant to trade for him?
Yeah, so the reason this even got brought up, whenever that was earlier in the season, is people thought there was a chance to buy low on him and get him for cheap. New Orleans never said they were looking to move him or that they would be interested in selling low on him. I brought this up pretty much every time we've talked about this. There was an Eastern Conference GM quoted as saying he would probably get fired because he would give up way too much if Zion actually became available. So I don't think there's any chance you're getting him for cheap. You're probably going to have to trade like a McHale type package from last offseason where you're giving, 4 or 5 picks for him. And that's even if he's available. And then you comes to a point where you just have to hope that no other team that has more pick assets than you has the ability to go get him or wants to go get him as well. So I just think Zion's pretty unrealistic at this point, and I don't think the Blazers are going to be in the running for him. I don't even think he'll be available.
Yeah, I do think it's an interesting question from like a team building perspective. Would that be the type of piece to give up legitimate assets for? I just think if Portland's going to go all in right now, it has to be a no-brainer, because otherwise, like, why not wait? And why not, draft somebody with this pick? Maybe you hit on like the next SGA or Devin Booker with a late lottery pick. Although I feel like, I don't know, man. I feel like Jalen Williams is pretty good, but I feel like scouting's getting a little bit better in the league, or it's just so skill-based that it's pretty obvious who the best players are. So I do think it's a little harder, and maybe that's just this draft kind of swaying me that way, because I think this draft has a lot of really good starters at that point that probably aren't going to be like dominant top 10, top 20 players. But I mean, if it was obvious that somebody was going to be that good, they wouldn't go this late. So that's the conundrum the Blazers are in, picking at the end of the draft. Ultimately,
McCain went 16 last year. That's not.
I mean, yeah, but we're talking about like SGA Booker. Is he going to be that good? I don't know. I mean, he looked really good for a stretch there before he got hurt. But that's the question, is like, how do the Blazers get their star? Is he on the roster? Could it be Deni? What would it take for Deni? If it's not on the roster, do they draft him? How could they draft him? How could they trade for him? Would Zion be that guy? That's the team-building question, I think, hanging over this rebuild, is who's going to be your number one guy going forward. So that's why I think, Zion, it's an interesting question, just because it touches upon that question that's very important for this team to answer at some point.
Yeah. I think Zion, he's shown with his ability to pass now too, and just insane efficiency, like just physically wills himself to baskets. Like, you can't stop him when he's going. So I think if you had an opportunity to get a guy like that, you absolutely do it. But But yeah, like it would be scary as a Portland fan trading for someone that injury prone,
Absolutely.
given how many of our franchise teams and players have gone down to injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris says Sabonis. The problem with Sabonis, I don't think he's a good enough start to be the number one player on a contending team. But the package it would take to get him is pretty much like a going all-in package. And I don't think the Blazers right now can trade a go all-in package. I'm talking like 3-4 firsts, whatever. Maybe you go for a little bit less, but I have a feeling he's going for 3 or 4 firsts. The Blazers currently don't have their 2026 firsts. And if you're trading that 2029 first, that's the best of Boston, Milwaukee, Portland. That's a really good asset to give up. You know, if Milwaukee struggles, that could be a pick that you would rather just take somebody with, or it could be valuable enough that you could actually get a guy that could be the best number one player on a team. So I just don't like the timing of going for a player like Sabonis that would cost a lot, but wouldn't be the number one player on a contending team.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, interesting questions. I didn't think we'd get into trade talk tonight, but I like it. I like it. Always down for a little bit of trade talk. Let's take one last look at the team stats. So 22 offensive rebounds. I mean, this Blazer team was very energetic tonight, man. Did Memphis play on the second night? Was this the second night of a back-to-back for them? Because I don't know.
No, I think they played Monday, yeah.
Because this just reminded me of all the games where the Blazers would play a decent team on the second night of a back-to-back and just look far more energetic. You know what I mean? Because their energy was tremendous today. The way they were crashing the boards, the way they were rebounding the ball. Deni, we talked about Klingen's offensive rebounding last game. Let me see how many he had. Give me a second here. Let me pull up the box score. You had 6 offensive rebounds from Duop Reith in 20 minutes. That was the guy there. Klingen in 26 minutes had 4 offensive rebounds. So you're talking about your 2 centers in 46 minutes had 10 offensive rebounds. That's phenomenal. Deni Avdija had 3 offensive rebounds. Anthony Simons had 3 offensive rebounds. Thibault in 11 minutes had 2 offensive rebounds. His energy has been really good since returning, man. I mean, he brings energy to the floor. And then in garbage time, Bryce McGowan's even got an offensive board. So really good offensive rebounding day from the Blazers. When you can outshoot a team, hold them to 27% from 3, and get 12 more offensive boards than them, you know, it's funny because the Blazers shot noticeably, maybe not noticeably better. Field goal percentage is relatively close, but free throw percentage identical. Free throw shooting identical, but I mean that's kind of the difference there is you got 12 more possessions. And on a night where they turned over the ball 17 turnovers to 10, right? You turned over the ball 7 more times than them. You shot the 3 ball better. You made 10 more threes. Normally it's the other way around where the Blazers might shoot fine, but they're shooting a lot of 2s where teams are beating them with 3s. And then the offensive rebounds.
Yeah, 3-point shooting, just insane. We're on a heater there for a while. Like Deni hit a 3, and then Tamani hit one, and then someone else hit one, like back to back, and it just seemed
Sharpe
like
got in on the action.
Yeah. Every time Memphis seemed to go on a run, we just hit a couple 3s and just put the lead right back up to 14-16. And outside of that one play where I think it was Aldama got that 3-pointer at the top of the key, it looked like he got fouled on. They were down 6 at the time. If he gets, I forgot who fouled him on that, but
I think it might have been Deni. They didn't call it.
Yeah, if they call that, it would have been interesting to see how this game unfolded, but they never really. I think we hit a couple 3s right after that once again, and then they never really got close again.
Yeah, I think the refereeing was a little inconsistent in this game.
Yeah.
For both teams, like the Jaren Jackson Jr. offensive foul call that he got teed up on, I thought was pretty soft. Not gonna lie. I mean, come on, man. Like normally you got to fall to get that call. Like the Blazers, listen, man. Deni and Tumani have gotten really good at selling contact when they're on defense, and it's a skill in the NBA because the refs buy it. And And if the refs are going to buy it, you got these offensive players that are taking advantage of the way the game is refereed. You look at guys like SGA, right? James Harden a few years ago who ate at the free throw line. These offensive players are taking advantage of the way refs buy things. It's nice to have a couple defenders that can flip the script and just sell contact, whether it's them fighting through a screen or whether it's, you're guarding Jaren Jackson Jr. in the paint and he gives you a slight forearm and you flail your hands back and like take 5 steps backwards like you got hit by a running back. And they bought it. They bought it because NBA refs buy this stuff, man. So it's part of the reason why Tamani leads the league in offensive fouls drawn by far, is because, number one, he's always in a really good position to take charges, and he's always fighting through screens, so he's already doing a lot of good defensive stuff to draw these plays. But then the cherry on top, sometimes you got to sell it, especially if the refs are going to buy it.
Yeah, the refs was weird. They called some ticky-tack stuff, and then they let a lot of really hard stuff go, so yeah. And
at the end of the day, we just ask for consistency, right? Like, if you're going to let a lot of stuff go, all right, let a lot of stuff go. Or if you're going to call it tight, all right, call it tight. The players can adjust during the course of a game to the way a game's being refereed if it's consistent, right? And consistency is fair. You know what I mean? I thought this game was very inconsistent. I'm not even saying that as a complaint about the Blazers at all. I think it kind of went both ways, which I guess maybe is fair. But, I just like to see a little bit more consistency.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other thoughts on the way the team played, especially defensively, because I thought this was a good defensive game?
Yeah, it felt like they had way more than 3 steals. I don't know. Like, I guess it was just because we had some fast break ones that led to easy baskets. But, like to see the 22 fast break points. Beating a team on that category is always good. And, they had 48 points in the paint, but it didn't really feel like they were dominating us in the paint or anything like that. So, just really solid defensive game. There was a possession in the first half where we rotated well, like 6 straight rotations, and forced a bad 3 or a shot clock violation or something, and even Klingon had a good rotation out to the corner. Mm-hmm. He had earlier blocked a 3-point shot by Kennard, which is tough to do. And we talked about this. It was your last stream or the one before, where people were questioning if Klingon could be a good NBA player because he can't get out and guard the perimeter or whatever. But like, I don't know. You watch a game like tonight, and I find it hard to understand what those people are watching, because that was one of my major concerns with drafting him, was that I felt like he was going to get caught in some of those positions, but he is so long and his arms are so big that like he can contest those shots even if he's not pressed up against them. And then since he's not up like guarding them tightly, they can't go around him either very easily. And if they do, even if they get by him, he's recovering fast enough to block their shot at the rim. Yep. And then you watch him make a perfect rotation out to the corner. Like this, once again, Lamar was saying that like a lot of times your center is the one that breaks down in that situation because they're not quick enough to get out there. And so I don't know. I don't see those, or I don't have those same concerns that I see on both in our chat sometimes and on social media, people questioning whether Klingon can be our long-term center because of defensive slow foot speed or whatever. I thought that would be an issue for him, but like rookie year, and it's already showing signs of not being a problem. I'm very encouraged by that, and I think that's going to bode well for him being a starting caliber center for a long time.
Yeah, you know what I think it is? I think people just assume, like, oh, if he doesn't move super fast, he's going to get cooked on the perimeter, right? And then the Blazers play him in drop scheme where he's 10 feet below the pick and roll, so then guys get somewhat open jumpers, and it's like, see, he can't guard the perimeter. That's why he's not on the perimeter. Like, look at him. He won't even go out there. And I think that's the misconception where it's like the way they guard pick and rolls, a lot of times he's that far off the perimeter by design. But then also he doesn't have to get out as far to bother shots. Like we've seen him block multiple threes this year where he's super long, but also he's really good at closing ground with like a step. Yeah. Right? And that was something that really impressed me with him in college in the paint. And you're seeing it on the perimeter where guy starts to shoot and he reacts quick. Like he has decent reaction time for a big, right? Like he reacts quick and takes a quick step and covers ground. In a straight line where he's running, he's not going to cover ground that fast. But like one step and contest, he's actually quicker than I feel like people give him credit for. And that allows him to not have to go out as far on the perimeter to defend perimeter players. So then, like you said, he's given them more space, but he's still playing good defense on the perimeter. And because he's given more space, he has more time to react to drives and try and contain them. And he's also already kind of closer to the rim. So oftentimes if guys try and beat him, sometimes he just has to take one or two steps and he can block them at the rim. You know what I mean? So it's just it's just completely different for somebody like him with his size and the way he's able to contest threes on the perimeter. He can give them space that 99% of defenders in the NBA can't get away with giving that amount of space. So, yeah, absolutely.
My YouTube page just crashed. I'll get back into it.
Did your YouTube page crash? I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. By the way, leave a like on the stream. Leave a like on the stream. Can we get this stream to 150 likes? That's your challenge. If you're watching the stream, let's get it to 150 likes. That's the challenge. There's the poll. All right, Eric. Players, man. I mean, we talked about Deni. Who else do you want to talk about?
Well, let's jump into Anthony. Put up a lot of shots in this game. Holy crap. Felt like at times he was just shooting a lot. But I don't know. It's also the kind of guy who makes tough shots when we need him to. And, yeah, I don't know. I mean, 8 for 24 is not good efficiency-wise. Terrible tonight. Thought he played pretty good defense in this game. But, yeah. I don't know. He made a couple incredible shots, but missed a lot of ones he normally or has been hitting lately as well.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish I could put Anthony's aggressiveness as a scorer in Deni Avdija. You know what I mean? Like, just to see. Yeah. Just to see. It's... The way I'll explain his game right now is what Taylor Packer says in chat. He says, Anthony creates offense when nothing else is going. It is what it is. He bails us out a lot. Yeah, like, in some situations, it's somebody has to create something, and it's Anthony, okay? But some situations, it feels like Anthony is making it so there's nothing else going on with the way he'll isolate and get a little tunnel vision, especially lately. So, you know, it's like, which one is it? Is it, you know, everybody's just watching Ant dribble the air out of the ball and like he's not going to pass and they know that, you know, and how much of it is he's bailing out the offense? I think it's both at times. Because there's a play today where he drove and drew Klingen's dude, and Klingen was right next to the rim, and I thought it was one of the easier lob passes he could have had all season, and he shot it. And I don't know if you know what play I'm talking about, Eric, but it was like, see, this is who he is lately, right? Earlier in the season, I felt like he was looking for his bigs on lobs, and he was trying to play make more, and he had some struggles, and now it's just like, I'm going to get up 24 shots a game with like 2 or 3 assists, right? And I'm going to go get mine. Which isn't necessarily the worst mindset to have. I just want him to continue to make the basic reads. Like, if you beat your guy off the dribble and you got a big standing on the block and you draw his man and that big man on your team is 7'2", lob it up around the rim so he can dunk it. Don't shoot like a contested 10-foot floater or whatever he shot in that possession. I don't remember the exact shot, but it wasn't a lay-in. Just continue to make basic, easy reads. And it feels like lately he's missing reads that last year he made and earlier in the year he made. Now he's been shooting the ball a lot better, so I haven't really complained about it on post-game shows. He's been shooting the ball, and he's been aggressive and confident, and that was an issue earlier in the season where he kind of lacked confidence, it seemed like. So, that's better, but also sometimes it's like, man, just make the simple play, especially when the rest of your team is shooting well. Like, he didn't shoot well tonight. The rest of the team shot above 40% from three. It's not like you're passing to a bunch of guys and they're bricking shots, and that's why you have 2 or 3 assists. Right? You got a bunch of guys that have a rhythm, So that's the one thing with Ant. I don't expect him to be a 7 assists per game guy. Don't expect him to make super flashy passes or really hard reads. Just keep making the basic ones while you're also being aggressive, hunting for your shot.
Yeah, I wish Aeromancer was here. I haven't seen him in chat, but he was saying last game that Anthony actually had a pretty high potential assist mark recently, and it didn't feel that way. But you've been mentioning this, like, I don't know, sometimes like he has the mindset like he has to score or whatever, and like, you did get me wondering if that's the best version of him, is just not passing, sometimes. But like those basic reads, I felt myself a couple times in this game being like, dude, the big is right there, wide open. Like, it's an easy lob play. And I don't know if it's just he's not comfortable doing it with Klingon yet or not, because earlier in the season and last year, I felt like that was more an Ayton thing because he saw Scoot doing it with Ayton too. So he got in on that as well. So maybe it's just he doesn't necessarily trust Klingon yet, which I don't know why that would be the case, but it definitely needs to see that lob when it's there instead of taking that jumper. But
even if Klingon drops half the passes out of bounds, which he doesn't, but let's say he drops half the passes out of bounds and dunks the other half, like, still, you throw it up to the 7'2" guy wide open around the rim. Like, you just make that play and you put it on him to either make the play or mess up.
So Matt Cardle says I wouldn't trust Butterfingers. Okay, let me ask you a question, and this is gonna seem like we're just blindly defending Klingon, but when have you ever seen him Butterfinger a high pass?
Yeah,
I don't think he has. Like, he's good when it's up in the air and you throw it high. When he doesn't do well catching the ball is when it's like chest level or lower. Like, he does not necessarily catch those ones well. He's a massive human being. He has to like bend over to catch those balls, and it's not easy to do that. So I don't see why you would have an issue with Butterfingers throwing lobs, because he has not had any trouble catching those this year. And there was that play in the first half where Sharpe, he like sealed this guy in the middle of the paint, and Sharpe threw it up to him, and he didn't see the backside defender coming and had to catch a really tough ball in traffic.
Yeah.
Ended up getting fouled on it, getting the free throw line. But like, that was, I mean, like, super Butterfingers players don't make that catch in traffic, you know, like, so I don't know, man. Like, I don't see the issue being with passes that are at the proper levels. It's more when he has to get a ball that's in a poorly located one, or off a rebound that's like not in the air still, like when it's in traffic and stuff like that. So,
dude, it's like there's a lot of possessions where he's reaching out over NBA players, like extending his arm trying to rebound a ball that's like outside his area, and like he'll have the ball hit his hand, but like somebody will be jumping up because he's reaching over someone to grab the rebound so he won't catch it, and then he'll like bat it around and he's trying to corral something with 2 or 3 defenders around him, and people will sit there and say, look, see, he can't grab the ball, he butterfingers. But then you look at the end of the game and it's like he has 7 offensive rebounds in 30 minutes, right? It's like
he does tip a lot of balls. Like it's almost like he's trying to tip it to
yeah,
himself.
but I think you made this point earlier in the season where it's like he has to tip it because he's grabbing with his massive wingspan. He's grabbing rebounds that aren't close to him, and he's reaching over guys where it's like nearly impossible to catch it and bring it in before they're reaching up, tipping the ball, hitting your arm. You know what I mean? And a lot of times he's like reaching out in a way just to try and tip it and keep it alive and keep somebody else from getting it. But people start talking about his hands when you throw him the ball high. He catches the ball pretty well. He catches the ball, I think, better than Ayton. Ayton drops many passes that are thrown high to him. It almost seems like Ayton likes lower passes sometimes. But, yeah, Klinga's hands are not a problem. And you put that on him. Like, as a teammate, you got a 7'2" big, right? If he doesn't have the best hands, it's like, especially as a rookie, it's like, all right, you got to get better at that. I'm going to still throw you this pass because it's the right play. It's on you to catch it. It's on you to throw it down, right? You still make the right plays. So icing out a 7'2" big that's wide open next to the rim to shoot like a contested 10-footer because you don't know if he's 100% going to catch it and throw it down is just silly. I don't believe that's what it is with Ant either. I don't believe it's like a lack of trust. There's no reason not to trust him or not just to make the right play. Like, at the end of the day, you're supposed to make reads in terms of, all right, I beat my guy. All right, you're driving downhill. And this happens at, the speed of light. You're driving downhill, becomes 2-on-1, you got a big at the block, and it's, all right, if I can get to the rim, I get to the rim. If that big rotates over, I got a 7'2" bit, just throw it. The second that big rotates over, you just throw it. And you don't think about it. If you're thinking about it, like you start driving and you're trying to read the big man rotating over, but then you're also thinking about, do I trust the big on the block? You're not going to make the right read. You know what I mean? You're thinking about too many things. You just got to, if that big steps up, you lob it to the big man if he's on the block. Or dump it off to him if he's in the dunker spot. And you make it simple. That's how you make the right reads, is you simplify it and read the defender and make the right pass.
Yeah.
So, I mean, listen, like I thought a lot of shots he took in this game were fine. It wasn't terrible shot selection. I think he's had worse games with his shot selection in the past month. It's just I would like for him to balance the aggressiveness because I don't want him shooting like 8 shots in a game. Otherwise, why is he out there, right? I want him being aggressive as a scorer, but it has to come with making a little better reads, basic reads. I'm not expecting much. And he's shown at times that he's capable of being a good scorer and making better reads than he's making right now as a passer.
Well, too, as he's had these 30-point games recently or something like that. The defense is going to go back to adjust to trying to stop him again.
Yeah.
Whereas earlier in the season, they might have been like, okay, we'll just let him shoot them out of a game. So, in my opinion, once you start doing that, the defense is going to expect you to shoot and overplay those situations where he pulls up from like 5 feet or does that little stop and rise shot. So like that's when you got to start thinking, okay, they're all collapsing on me, someone's open. Like I don't know, it's just weird because like there's certain players that like I probably put Scoot in this category. Like I feel like he's looking for that lob before his own shot. And I mean, not that that's like right or wrong, but like there are a lot of players that will, the second that big commits to you, you're looking for that lob. And it feels like with the heater Anthony's been on lately, he's just one track mind. I'm going to hump my shot right now.
Yeah. Yep. Other players you want to talk about, Eric?
Thought Tamani had a good game. Obviously 6 of 11 from the field, another 3 for 5 3-point shooting night. Thought he was pretty solid tonight.
Yeah, man. Good to see his 3-point shot going in. Had a nice finish in traffic in this game with multiple defenders around him at the shot clock buzzer. Good to see. I think the finishing is important for him to continue to improve upon right now. The 3-point shot has been pretty buttery for the past month or so. So played good defense in this game too. You know, it's not the most impressive stat line. He did have 3 assists, only 2 boards, but everybody else was rebounding, right? So he didn't really need to. 3 for 5 from 3, 6 for 11 from the field, plus 19. Had some good defensive possessions on Jaren Jackson Jr., who went 5 for 18 from the field. So that was going to be their guy tonight, was him or Desmond Bane. And the Blazers, you know, Desmond Bane got 20 on 7 for 16, but we've seen Desmond Bane have bigger games in his career against the Blazers before, and Jaren Jackson Jr. can hold him to 5 for 18 from the field. In a game where they don't have Ja Morant, you're going to have success. So that's what happened. Scottie Pippen Jr. might have been their best offensive player today.
Yeah.
And if you're saying that...
He's always solid, man.
Yeah, man. He's one of the better backup point guards in the league for sure. For sure. Side note. Do you remember a conversation that we had about trying to find like gems in free agency this offseason, where you're trying to find a guy that's really productive on low minutes, give him more minutes, and see if he can maintain that production? Do you remember that conversation, Eric?
Yeah, of course.
Do you remember one of the names I said?
Well, I mean, it's someone who had an insane stat line in 19 minutes tonight.
Yeah. Sandro Mamukelashvili tonight. 19 minutes, 34 points, 9 boards, 3 assists. Most points ever for a player that played less than 20 minutes. He was 7 for 7 from 3 and 13 for 14 from the field. Now, obviously, that's just like an insane night, but that is a guy who I think could be the next like low-key breakout player in the league if you give him a role and give him more minutes, because he could always kind of handle the ball in college at Seton Hall, right? It was where he went. He'd always kind of handle the ball and kind of crafty player, and he's become a good 3-point shooter, 6'9" forward. He has some skill at that size, which I feel like could be something that pops a little more if he's given more minutes. And I don't even know if his production has to be better. I just think he has to be given more minutes. Tonight, he didn't even need the freaking minutes. He had a historic night. 34 points in 19 minutes is insane. So that's the type of guy that the Blazers should be going after. I just wanted to make sure I brought that up on this stream because I just was scrolling across ESPN and saw his stat line. It was insane.
Yep. That's great. I think that's the most points ever in under 20 minutes in NBA history.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's phenomenal stuff. So, yeah, he's, especially with the Blazers needing shooting, could the Blazers have gotten him going into the season? I don't remember what his situation was this past offseason. Or he was already on the Spurs, so they just kept him. But it's like, that is the type of guy I would shuffle a Chris Murray roster spot into taking a chance on a guy like that who's clearly more offensively talented.
Yeah. Kenneth says Lakers let Pippen go for Bronny. Wasn't he on Memphis last year?
He was on Memphis last year. So that's not...
Had nothing to do with Bronny. Yeah.
That's not true. But, I mean, you see these guys, like a Scottie Pippen Jr., man. He didn't start his career on Memphis. You see these guys kind of bounce around a little bit from, like... There's a few guys in the league like this where they'll play on a couple of teams and nobody will know them, and then they end up on their third team, and then they break out because they're just given more of a role. So that could be a Mamukelashvili. Oh no, that's the dreaded Eric deep sigh.
Yeah.
Why did we get the dreaded Eric deep sigh?
Well, been having a discussion with Minato Legend in chat, who's saying that Colin Murray Boyle should be our center moving forward. And I made the point that he's 6'8" with a 7'2"
He's not even
wingspan.
6'8". He's listed as 6'7" in
Yeah.
college, which means he's probably 6'6".
Yeah, we'll see what he measures at the combine, but he is not center size. He's going to be a forward.
He might not even be power forward size, man.
Yeah.
Like what? He's also not a shooter.
And then so he mentioned Bam, and I'm pretty sure Bam has a much bigger wingspan.
Yeah.
Look up his wingspan.
Yeah, because Colin Murray Boyles didn't measure last year at the combine. I forget when he withdrew from the draft process, but yeah, I mean he's a good defender, but he's the only reason you would try and say he's a center is because he can't shoot. If he can shoot, he's absolutely a power forward. So it's like you're pigeonholing him into a position because of the lack of a skill, right? Which means if you're having to force somebody to play a position that they are far undersized for because they can't shoot, more often than not, that does not pan out well. Like, name an example where a guy has had to play a position he's far undersized for because he can't shoot, and he ended up being a really good NBA player. The only way they become good NBA players is if they learn to shoot, and then they're fine playing power forward or small forward most of the time if they learn how to shoot.
It's if you're talking about like a small sample, like small ball center, like sure, maybe like we can talk about that. But like if you're talking about him being our starting center of the future at that size,
I mean, I don't think he's any more of a center than Deni Avdija is.
Yeah.
Like Avdija, you look at the way he's rebounding right now, man.
Well, you'd love that.
And he's 6'9". You know, like he's 6'9" compared to probably 6'6". So yeah, I think Murray Boyles might be a little bit more of a rim protector, maybe, but yeah, I'd rather experiment with some Deni small ball lineups next year where Deni's at the 5. Because that's the thing. If your identity is going to be like, okay, we're athletic, we're quick, we're scrappy, right? We're going to play bigger than our listed height. We're going to compete. It's not a bad idea to play Deni at the 5 because it's kind of playing to your identity, especially if you also have Tamani on the floor, who at times has defended centers well this year.
Yeah, but like I said, for short periods. But like if you're talking like your main rotation, like our starting lineup, part of the thing Portland has been going for is length at different positions. So you don't want to play smaller players up positions. We've been playing more like, our 3 forward lineup where we have 3 forwards and so
you want options.
Right, yeah, options are good. But what I'm saying is like it's better for me. I always make this argument like we say like, can Dylan Harper play the 3? Well, if he plays the 3, he's undersized or small forward sized, so it's not an advantage. If he's a point guard at 6'5" and has point guard skills, that creates a huge advantage because then your point guard's 6'5". If you're trying to make him work with 2 other guards, it kind of takes away like one of the pros of him. So like if you're trying to play like Colin Murray Boyles at center, like yes, having a 3 or 4 forward in some case lineup with all switchability and stuff like that will work against some teams or in some stretches, but like it does take away having length at multiple positions that you can use and having that rim protection and things like that.
Yeah. Well, also you need shooting.
Mm-hmm.
You like, it's not. You got a lot of defensive pieces. You need some shooting that can hopefully be solid defensively as well, right? So Con Knipple is a much better fit than Colin Murray Boyles for this team. Con Knipple, I think, is a great fit for this team. I like he's not the number one player I draft for the Blazers. But because obviously if you're drafting the top of the draft, you're taking Cooper Flagg or you're taking somebody with much more upside maybe than a Con Knipple. But in terms of guys outside of the top tier of guys that have enormous upside, Con Knipple's the best pick for the Blazers. Just because he is such a great fit with the Blazers' young core. And if you're not going to hit on somebody that has clear-cut, massive upside that you can feel confident about them approaching, then it makes sense to just say, all right, we're going to get a guy that fits like a glove with what we have and find that player some other way instead of maybe taking a shot on somebody who doesn't fit with the dream, a pipe dream of maybe they can completely transform their game or take such a massive leap in development over the next few years they become a star, right? Because that's much more likely to fail. So Con Knipple, if the Blazers don't move up into the top 4, I'm praying that he is there with the Blazers pick.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Con can be our Desmond Bain, says Blazer Pro.
Yeah. I mean, he's almost up to 40% from 3, and he's 90% from the free throw line, and he's listed as the same freaking height as Colin Murray Boyles. Now his wingspan isn't as long. But yeah, give me that guy. And defensively, I think he's a little underrated. Give me that guy. Absolutely, give me Con Knipple. It's funny because I joked about, oh great, we get Con Knipple when we don't move up in the Tankathon sims. Now it's like, man, hopefully he falls to where we're at. I don't think he'll fall to where we're at, Eric. I think the Blazers would maybe have to trade up to get him.
Yeah. Yep.
I also feel like he's the type of guy that the Blazers will really like.
Yep.
Amazing how we get full circle on Knipple. Yeah, it is amazing how things come full circle, man.
Full circle.
Absolutely. Over Newell? Yeah. Yeah. Con Knipple is clearly a better fit with his young core than Asa Newell. Because he provides an area of need, which is shooting. He can be a backup 2, a big 2, or play the 3, right? So if you trade Ant, he can take over some guard minutes. But if you don't, he can play minutes at the 3. And then also I think the way he passes the ball, the way he attacks closeouts would fit in really well with this offense where he's not going to make like a bunch of mistakes and he'll just make solid plays and can get to the rim a little bit. But like seeing some of the lobs that he was throwing to Maluach, just imagining that with Klingon, I think his playmaking, his secondary playmaking, where he ends up on a team where he can space the floor for them, shoot the ball really well, provide some more space for guys like Scoot, Deni, Sharpe, and he can be very effective without having to have the ball in his hands. But then when he's put in a position to make a play, he can make that play, I think, is very ideal.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's finish talking about players.
Yep.
Justin Minaya tonight. What do you think?
Repair got 2 minutes.
Yeah. I thought, oh no, we haven't talked about Sharpe at all.
Yeah, quietly solid game from him. 17 points, 7 boards, 5 assists, 6 for 13 for the field, 3 for 8 from 3. I mean, it's what we talked about. He's like 2 for 7 to 3 for 8. Yeah, I did say 5 assists.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like 2 for 7 to 3 for 8 from 3. Pretty consistently. I'll take a 3 for 8 shooting night, though, with how much he's struggled shooting the 3 ball lately, so that was good to see.
Yeah, it just wasn't hitting the middies tonight, but other than that, was finishing well around the rim and hitting threes. So, yeah. Didn't force a ton of shots, but yeah, I thought he was fine tonight.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have much to say. Was a little more active on the glass. It feels like he's been a little bit more active as a rebounder lately, which is good because he's athletic. He should be able to go grab some boards. And then the playmaking too is becoming. I don't know what it is statistically, but it feels like he's becoming a little bit more consistent in that area. Um, so, yeah,
Yeah.
solid game. Better game than he had a better game than Scoot did, man. I mean,
Yeah, Scoot was rough. Shooting the ball again, 2 for 10.
1 for 7 from three. He's
Yeah.
in a 3-point shooting slump.
Yeah.
It feels like he's shooting the ball really bad this month, but like going into this game, he was 33.3% from three for the month. Like he was almost 38% last month. So I think he's kind of bound for a little bit of a slump. I mean, the question is going to be, all right, is this a prolonged slump or can he snap out of it? Because I think it's clear like his shooting form has improved and his shot has improved because of it, but a lot of shooting is mental. So with his improved shot, he had a stretch there where he was on fire from three, 44% from three in January and 38% from three in February. Like, we'll take that any day, right? We'll take that. Absolutely. Now this month, I don't know what it is after this game, but it's getting down to around 30%. But you're going to have stretches where you don't shoot the three ball as well. The question is, like, how fast does he snap out of it, and can he get back to shooting with the same level of confidence that he was shooting with in January and February? And then also, is there maybe something he's doing a little wrong with his shooting form that he wasn't doing those months that is causing some of these misses beyond just the mental side of it? Those are the two questions. So can he snap out of it? I think this is a good challenge for him the rest of the year to see if he can respond to the shooting slump he's having and snap out of it and get back to what he was shooting January or February, or he might struggle throughout the rest of the year going into the offseason. And then it's like, all right, you showed some improvement as a shooter this season, but you struggled to end the year, so that's just going to show you going into the offseason what you need to work on, try and figure out why you went on this slump, and that can be a focal point for the offseason in terms of what he needs to improve on. So I think there's never a good time for a slump, but if there was, this would be it.
Yeah, for sure. But as we ramp up the competition here against teams presumably not resting their best player every time they play us, we definitely could use his normal 3-point shooting. It's weird to say that, but yeah.
Yeah. I just don't like how his passing is depleted almost. Like making plays for others, he's just not doing it at the same level he was earlier in the year. And it's reflected statistically. In January, he had 5.3 assists, 2.9 turnovers. In February, he had 5.5 assists, 2.3 turnovers. In March, 3.9 assists, 3 turnovers. So that's also been worse this month. I said it last stream, it could just be a season long of fatigue. He's never played through a full NBA season quite like this. He was injured at times last year, right, and then took off at the end of the year. So it could be that, and it being his first time in his career, he's experiencing that. And then also, maybe just in a shooting slump, so his confidence shooting the ball isn't as high. So that could be what is going on right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Are you worried about it?
Not really, man. I mean, like in today's game, he's 2 for 10 from the field, but he's 1 for 7 from three. And it's not like, I don't know, like he's shown enough this year where I'm not going to worry about his shot if he has a month where he shoots like 31% from three. Because last year he shot 32.5%. So, yeah, he had some good months. So he's shown that he's capable over a 2-month span of shooting over 40% from three. All right, that's growth, right? It's just like making a shot even more consistent, but at least it's trending up, right? So I'm not worried about it. He only shot 3 shots inside the arc. He's been a little bit more mistake prone lately, but
Yeah, some of the turnovers are back.
I do wonder, like, if he's given the keys in 35 minutes a game, if that's a little better going into next year. But, I mean, he's shown enough improvement. Like, he's playing much more under control. Like, there's a comment that said Scoot looked at it. He just looks out of control. Like, tonight, I didn't really feel like Scoot was necessarily out of control. I think he forced a shot at the rim, but it was like he was missing threes. If he goes 4 for 7 from 3 and is 5 for 10 from the field with 5 assists, 3 turnovers, and has 14 points, we're like, it's not that bad of a game, right? He shot the 3-ball well, and there was a lot of games kind of like that. So the 3-point shot trailing off, the passing isn't really there, but I do think he has a little better chemistry with DA. I also think he is throwing less lobs to bigs lately, and I don't really know why that is. Like, I think it's kind of a team-wide thing, so I don't know if defenses are game planning for it or what. But yeah, I'm not worried. He's shown improvement, and he's shown enough improvement that it makes me confident in being patient with them, right? If he shows the same improvement next year and the year after that and the year after that, you probably have a borderline all-star. And at this point, like, if he becomes a borderline all-star, while it's not the best case scenario and maybe necessarily what we hoped for when people were calling him generational when we drafted him, it's still, a decent enough outcome. Like, we see third picks become complete busts, and fourth picks become busts, right? So, not worried. Are you worried?
I don't think worried is the right word. I'm a little puzzled at him regressing a little bit, but I mean, if he starts hitting threes again, it might make everything else fine. Like, I don't know, it seems like he's sometimes gets maybe a little down on himself and gets a little out of control and stuff. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not as worried as I was last year or like at the beginning of this year. So that's good.
Yeah. Yep. His inconsistency is kind of rough at times. I mean, yeah, but he's 21-year-old point guard. He's gonna have some inconsistency. All I care about is that he's getting better. Like, that's the thing. When a young player has ups and downs, right? Sometimes it's hard to see necessarily the growth. It's like, oh, he showed growth, and now that growth is going away, right? Because he's dipping. But like, as long as over the long term he's still trending up, it's fine. And I'm not going to overreact to a dip or a slump. Especially at this point in the season where he's played a lot of games and he's never played this many games in a season before. So, yeah, like, I think it's completely silly to make definitive statements like Kenneth is saying in chat. Scoot's far from all-star level. He would be serviceable, but he won't be great. Like, dude, I mean, people were saying, oh, he's going to be out of the league in 2 years last year. Like, people said insane stuff. And now he's shown some improvement, but he's obviously not a finished product. I don't know why people say definitive statements about a 21-year-old. People were saying definitive statements last year, though, so that's just sports talk, I guess. Everybody wants to have a hot take, and everybody wants to know what's going to happen in the future. But he works hard. He showed improvement this year. It's not like he's been given a necessarily consistent role or given a chance to start and play through his mistakes. And when he has started this year, he's been statistically better. So you don't know what he's going to be. You don't know what he's going to be. I don't know what he's going to be. All I know is that we don't know what he's going to be. So, relax.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I thought, so moving on to Dwap, I thought he had a really nice game tonight.
Yeah, he made threes.
Yeah.
He made threes. I mean, when he's making threes, he's a lot better than when he's missing them. That's kind of what his game comes down to. But the rebounding, as I said earlier, 6 offensive rebounds in 20 minutes is phenomenal. So having an impact there. He also had a couple nice defensive possessions. Had a nice block. So, yeah, it was a good game from him.
And then what did you think about Thibault?
I mean, energy and rebounding was solid. 6 boards, 11 minutes. Had one steal, almost had a couple more. So he's being disruptive. There's a play got beat off the dribble that I didn't really like defensively. But, he's not going to play perfect defense. So whatever, it's hard to say much when he only played 11 minutes.
Yeah, for sure.
I do think it was interesting that Chris Murray played 18 minutes and Thibault only played 11.
Yeah, well, he was tired after last game. So.
Yeah, I guess. But I'd rather have tired Thibault, honestly, than Chris Murray right now. So, because Chris Murray 0 for 2 from 3 today. So his three-point shooting is down even further. It was 24.7% going into this game. Over the 0 for 2. Over the month of March, Chris Murray is 1 for 15 from 3, Eric. 1 for 15 from 3.
Good.
Yeah, it's I know it's a small sample size, but I mean, it's that coupled with the free throw shooting is just baffling. 41% from the free throw line is just insane. Insane to me. So, yeah, I don't know what you got to do, man, but got to shoot better than 25% from 3.
Yeah.
And that's, Hutbomb says Chris Murray's threes weren't close. That's also the problem for me. It'd be one thing if he was barely missing these threes, where it's like, oh man, you just slightly dialed in, even more of those are dropping. It's like, dude, a lot of threes are wide open and he's not close and he's missing all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good sign.
Not at all.
If only Chris's 3-point percentage was as good as free throw percentage. I mean, yeah, there's yeah. If his 3-point percentage was as good as Anthony's free throw percentage, then he'd be a max player, 90% from 3. Imagine Chris with J.R. Smith's confidence. Dude, I can't even imagine, man. I can't even imagine. Mason Warner says we've gotten rid of better players. He needs to go. Yeah, I mean, I think Trenton Watford's better than him right now. Keon Johnson's better than him right now. And Chris is going to be 25 at the start of next season, Eric. There's just nothing there. There's just nothing there. That's the thing. It's like, oh, only year 2. He's going to be 25. He's almost as old as... How old is Ant right now? Like, Ant is 25. Yeah. He's literally less than a year younger than Anthony Simons. So... Chris is an excellent defender. He's solid, maybe even good. I think excellent is stretching it. Yeah. All right. Tankathon. Any other things you want to talk about from this game?
No, I think we covered most of it.
Cool. Did you see
Good
Rutgers?
win.
Do you see Rutgers didn't make March Madness? Yeah, they weren't close to making March Madness. They were not good this year.
No.
Which sucks because I would have loved to have seen Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper play in March Madness, but we got some other good prospects, so it'll be fun.
Sorry, I believe now because I'm wearing my Rip City Playoffs shirt tonight.
You believe in what?
We're going to not only make the play-in, but win 2 road games to make the playoffs now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be really exciting.
I mean,
and then we're going to take the Thunder to game 7.
I mean, we got to catch Phoenix, man. They do play Cleveland, Milwaukee, and Boston. But like we have just as hard of a schedule. I just don't see how we're going to make up 2 games on Phoenix the rest of the year.
Mm.
Dallas is a freaking train wreck. They've lost 9 out of 10, super injured. They are not going to make the play-in. It's Portland versus I don't even care about Dallas no more. If Portland's going to make the play and it's going to have to be at the expense of Phoenix, which I think would kind of be hilarious, so I'm down, I guess, at this point for that. To beat the big three, especially with watching game streams when they were really good, when we were starting our rebuild, it's like, dang, when are we ever going to be as good as Phoenix? So, it being this soon is kind of funny. Although I don't necessarily think we're as good as them. But listen, Blazers are going to have to beat good teams at home. The Blazers got Denver next. They did beat Denver at home earlier this year. Okay. I almost feel like you got to beat Denver because then you got Boston and Cleveland. In Cleveland, after winning 16 in a row, has lost 3 straight. Are they resting players? Because I didn't really look at the box score. Let me look at it. So they had Donovan Mitchell, they had Evan Mobley, they had Jared Allen. They didn't have Darius Garland today. So who knows who Cleveland plays. I saw somebody say, oh, they're locked in, so they're probably going to rest everyone. Cleveland's not going to rest everyone for 3 weeks to end the season. Right. So that's a misconception. Why would you do that? And then they're not going to be in a play-in, so then they're going to rest even longer between the end of the regular season and the start of their first round. So they're not just going to rest everyone, but maybe they rest someone. If somebody's banged up with anything, then they probably will take it easy. But also, they're competing for home court advantage in a potential finals with OKC right now. And they might have just lost it. Let me look. They might have they just lost it because they lost 3 in a row. So it's kind of wild to say a team that is currently 56-13 has lost 3 games in a row, but that's what it is. So you got Denver, you got Boston, you got Cleveland. I don't know. At home. And then you go back on the road. I kind of feel like you definitely need to win one of these 3 games. You got at Sacramento. I think, Eric, it's important for the Blazers to win at least 2 of these next 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
At Sacramento versus Denver are going to be the easiest ones there. Then you got at New York. That's going to be really hard. At Atlanta, winnable. At Toronto, winnable. At Chicago, winnable. Versus San Antonio, winnable. And at Utah, winnable. Whoa. Our schedule gets easy. I would keep looking at our schedule through March. You guys remember at the start of the month I was talking about how hard our schedule is. You got these 2 tanking games. And then this stretch. I hadn't really quite looked at April. Right? If you can get to April and you're within 2 games of the 10th seed, 2 games of Phoenix, you got Atlanta, Toronto, Chicago, San Antonio, Utah. Lakers might be resting guys at the end of the season. Golden State, who knows? That's when you could make up that ground, but you got to keep touch. You can't be 4 games back. So Phoenix the rest of March has Milwaukee, Boston, Minnesota, Houston. Okay? But look at this stretch in April. If you're within 2 games, look at their stretch. At Milwaukee, at Boston, at New York, versus Golden State, versus OKC. Right? We just looked at Portland's schedule in that stretch. That's when Portland can make up those 2 games. They got to stay within about 2 games over this stretch.
Yeah.
The thing is, you could maybe say Phoenix's schedule is even harder in this 5-game stretch. So you should not lose a game if you're going to catch Phoenix. You should not lose a game on them. I don't mean not lose a game like you should go 5-0, but if Phoenix goes 2-3, you should also go 2-3.
Yeah. Did you see that Anthony Davis wants to play?
Does he?
Yeah. I think the team wants to sit him out for the rest of the season. He's saying that he's pretty much healthy. I think he went to the G League team to practice today, and he wants to play. So
I mean, maybe you have to worry about them too. Their schedule is a little easier. They got at Brooklyn, at Orlando, at Chicago versus Brooklyn versus Atlanta versus Toronto. So maybe if he returns, you have to worry about him. If not, just look at what they are without AD, without Kyrie, right? Really bad.
Someone triggered a good question. If we are on, let's just say, heading into the last couple games, we have a chance to make the play-in if we win, or even once we're in the play-in, does Jeremy Grant still have knee tendonitis, or does he actually play and screw everything up?
Could you imagine he just comes back for the play-in game and goes 1 for 10 with no boards in 35 minutes, and we lose by like 4?
That would be so blazery.
Also, like, wasn't Ayton's reevaluation date like a week ago? What happened?
Who knows? Wow, no update from the Blazers. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. But, I mean, you got a chance. You got a chance because Dallas is completely falling apart at the seams.
Do they have to not play him because then it would look bad?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy that the only reason the Blazers have a chance is because Dallas traded Luka Doncic and then every single player they have got hurt.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Have you been following their situation? They might have to have Anthony Davis play if he's healthy.
Yeah.
Or
otherwise they have to like forfeit games. Yeah.
They're up against the tax line or the hard cap, and they can't sign anyone. They don't have enough healthy bodies, so yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, the thing is they could suit up Anthony Davis and not play him.
Yeah, they could, but they might I don't know. I don't know if you can get in trouble for that or not.
Because he's a star. So suit up somebody that's hurt that's not a star and don't play him.
Yeah. But I don't think you can lie about it either. I don't know.
Well, I mean, what are they supposed to do then? You know, like...
Yeah. I think the NBA might just give them an exception or something, like just skirt the rules a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. But
I know people have done that before, but it's not. They're potentially going to have to do it for like 10 games or something like that. So
yeah, true. You know what I do like though. You know what I do like about this tanking picture. San Antonio went from 8th to 10th because they won today. So like, if we're not going to have good odds, as long as San Antonio doesn't either, because I mean, them moving up would piss me off. Then I'm good. Because Miami is gonna maybe lose every game the rest of the year. They've lost 9 in a row. It's crazy. Chicago's won 6 of 10, man. Chicago's won 6 of 10, but yeah, it's like if we're gonna be at the bottom of this tankathon picture, as long as San Antonio is also. Like, if we don't move up, just as long as San Antonio doesn't move up. Because you look at every team above San Antonio, you only have 2 Western Conference teams, and it's New Orleans and Utah. And, like, if either one of them gets Cooper flag, like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Mm. So, at least it's like, yeah, he's probably going to the East. That's what we're rooting for. If we don't get Cooper flag, put him in the East. The East needs more talent. Because... this is crazy. The bottom 9 teams, 7 of them are from the East. Look at this. 10th through 14th, West, 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 West. Portland would be the 9th seed right now in the East by a game and a half. They'd be a game behind the 8th seed.
So what you're saying is we're going to finish 10th and then end up with the 13th pick. Because that's what it would be, right?
What?
Because if we finished 10th, theoretically, made the play-in, but lost one of the 2 games.
Oh, you meant 10th in the lottery. Yeah.
Then we'd be the 13th pick because
yes,
there'd be one team higher than us in the play-in that lost.
Yes.
And then we'd be ahead of all the non-playoff East teams, right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So, yeah, I don't know. It'd be weird, but
13th pick, jeez.
Let's simulate this thing. Let's see. See what we get. At 14, Atlanta via Sacramento. At 13, Houston via Phoenix. At 12, Dallas. At 11 is the San Antonio Spurs.
Ethical tanking is
Ethical
back.
tanking once again. We love a good ethical tank. Let's go. At 10, we got Chicago. At 9, we got Miami. At 8, we got Brooklyn. At 7, we got OKC via Philadelphia. So Philadelphia loses their pick because they move down 2 spots. Toronto moves up. At 6, we have New Orleans. At 5, we have the Charlotte Hornets. So you also got Washington up there. You also got Utah up there. Are we going to be 4th again?
Tori, if we get the 4th pick, are you taking Knipple at 4?
We'll have that conversation if we get the 4th pick here. At 4 is your Portland Trail Blazers. At 3 is the Toronto Raptors. At 2 is the Utah Jazz. And at 1 is the Washington Wizards. Flag goes to Washington. No, I would not take Flag. I'd take Edgecombe or Bailey. If we were picking 5, like
Maybe
outside
top
of that
four.
tier, outside of that,
Oh, I can't pick 5, but yeah.
I mean, listen, I would not hate them if they took Knipple over Ace Bailey, which I know a lot of people are going to disagree with. I think Ace Bailey has some serious question marks, serious red flags. But I mean, like, I'd take Ace Bailey just because of the upside. Like, how often do you get a chance to bank on that upside or bet on that upside, that type of upside in a 6'9", 6'10" player, right? So you do that and you try and develop him. Absolutely is the right decision there. But outside of that top 4, it's like, who else? Who would you take over him for this team? Like,
I don't know.
That's the thing. Like, Trey Johnson, maybe, I guess. Yakuchonis. I would not take Yakuchonis over Knipple for the Blazers. I would probably take Knipple over Trey Johnson. Because I think Knipple will be pretty much just as effective as an off-ball shooter. And I trust his, like, the little things in his game a little bit more. Trey Johnson is a pure shooter, pure scorer, man, but doesn't really get to the rim much. Other areas of his game are kind of lacking. And he's a little smaller. Going with Trey Johnson, to me, Eric, just feels like, all right, yeah, you got to trade Simons then, and you just replace him with, like, a younger, similar player. You know? So I don't really know how I feel about that. Like, there are some differences, and Trey Johnson is bigger. But I don't know. It's interesting. Interesting question. At least the Blazers moved up into the top 4, though.
Yeah.
We like that.
Have this question.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the debate, man, is what in the world do the Blazers do? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't hate trading down. Like, I wouldn't take a nipple at 4. I'd hope that you can trade down to, like, 6 and take him. You know, sell a team on Edgecombe, right, if he's the one who's there. New Orleans, right? They got a bunch of future picks. Like, if you're not sold on Edgecombe, you get 6 and you add a future pick, so you start to build your draft capital and you draft Knipple there and he really fits your core, I get it. So, yeah. Alrighty.
just for the record, if we finish like 11th, we can't get anything other than 11 or worse or top 4.
Yeah, because they only draw for the top 4, and then it's in order of standings. So,
and then yeah, so yeah, you're probably not get if you really like Knipple Tory, you probably either have to take him at 4 or you're not getting him if you stay at 11. So that's how it's kind of shaping up.
yeah.
I mean, there's still a lot to play out, but
It's funny how much Tori has turned on the idea of Knipple on her team. I didn't hate the idea before. It was just like, oh, it's kind of boring. And now I don't think it's boring now. Yeah. I mean, Knipple's been playing really well. He was struggling a little bit with his shot earlier in the year, but he's turned around and then also showed things beyond that when Flag was out in a way where it's like, yeah, maybe he's being a little held back by Duke, which we saw with Jared McCain. So, that's why big boards fluctuate throughout the year. I mean, he's shooting 39% from 3, 6'7". He's shooting 91% from the free throw line. Per 36, he's averaging 3.2 assists, 1.6 turnovers, 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio, 5 boards. Without Flag in the conference tournament, 28 points, 8 assists, 17 points, 3 assists, 18 points, 3 assists. And he was slashing more, creating more. So, yeah. Hey guys, I've been a bit out of the loop. What's the red flags with Flag? None. 0.
Yeah, I mean, you could say his shooting splits earlier in the year, but he improved him so much. He got up to almost 37% from 3. Yeah.
No, literally look at this.
Are you on Tankathon?
Yeah.
It says none.
There's no stat weaknesses here, man. There's nothing here. I've never seen that before. The only thing that's red is his 3-point attempt rate. Yeah.
Doesn't show a lot, yeah.
Well,
what are the 1 pluses there? Okay, so rebounds, free throw rate, and true shooting percentage.
Yeah, Eric, in 30 minutes a game, he gets 7.5 rebounds per game. It's only 1 plus.
Yeah, that was a freshman, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He shoots almost 6 free throw attempts in that time span, and free throw attempt rate is only 1 plus. That's what we're talking about here.
If you're being really nitpicky, I mean, some people don't like his shooting form. He did struggle shooting earlier in the year. Now that he got injured, he's injury prone, right? No, just kidding. But no, I mean, honestly, he's like an awesome defender. He can protect the rim. He can guard on the perimeter.
This conversation is making me sad, by the way.
He can handle the ball. He can pass the ball, 4 assists a game. He can score. He can create. Yeah, I don't really know what to say if you're just nitpicking.
Why can't we ever get a player like that?
Some people will say he's an American-born white player, so you can't draft him. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think it's American-born white big man.
I know. I was joking. I was trying to stretch to find something that these people could say.
Yeah,
but.
You really got to stretch. So, yeah, it's... no red flags, man. I mean, that's why he's guaranteed number 1 overall pick for a reason. And, yeah, it's funny that earlier in the season, people were coming in here saying, I think Bailey's a better prospect. I mean, yeah, it was early, I guess, and Flag wasn't necessarily playing as good as he is now earlier in the season, but, it's been obvious, I think, from day one this season. Like, he is the guy in this draft. Is he shooting a better 3-point percentage than Ace Bailey this year?
I think so. I think Ace is down.
Ace Bailey shot 34.6% from three, shooting 4.9 3-point attempts per 36. Cooper Flagg shot 36.8% from three, shooting 4.3 3-point attempts per 36. So almost the same volume, and Cooper Flagg shot better from three. And Cooper Flagg shot 83% from the free throw line. Ace Bailey shot 69%.
Oh, I got it up to almost 70, huh? I think it was a lot.
Yeah,
Worse.
but like Eric, you could easily make a case that Ace Bailey isn't even a better shooter than Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
In which case, what does Ace Bailey have on him? You know, like, well, they're not even close to the same prospect.
Man.
They're not even close. So.
Yeah, I think, like, absolute worst case, he's like a top 50 player.
Yeah, that
like
still
in the
feels.
NBA, like,
I know it's worst case. It still feels low.
I know. I don't see him. Anyway, he's not like at least a fringe all-star type. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, the worst case scenario is he's like only a 20-point per game scorer and is like an all-star because he's elite in like every area. Like, maybe that's not worst case, but that's like his floor to me.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Bo is saying Asengwe could be better than Chris Murray, but we're not drafting a lottery pick to be better than Chris Murray. I would hope any player we pick is better than.
Of course. You're drafting somebody to be better than Chris. I hope if you draft a second-round player, you're hoping they're better than Chris. Like,
John asked, and this was asked earlier in the stream too, is there a team that may trade their number one pick if they get it?
Outside of getting like Wemby, no.
No. All right.
Teams don't really trade top 10 picks. Like, it just doesn't really happen.
Does Dallas have their pick?
What do you mean?
They get their pick if it's number one?
Yeah, they have their pick right now.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, they have their pick right now.
Okay.
It's 12.
All right. Let me. I don't know what the heck Nico Harrison would do. He's a freaking moron. But outside of that, yeah, no one's traded.
Well, also maybe it was their ownership that forced him to do that. Like, their ownership is questionable, yeah.
Yeah, did their ownership also make him trade Quentin Grimes in a second for Caleb Martin?
Well. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's bad.
I mean, I
don't know. Yeah. But did you hear their owner? I think it was their owner talking about the trade, and it's just like, dude.
Yeah. Like, Nico seemed to be right there with him, agreeing with everything. I don't know.
I mean, but yeah, it's like you make a trade where it's basically you're sabotaging your career as a GM. It's like, why would you make that trade unless ownership was like, yeah, we're giving you some sort of guarantee that you'll be here to see this through.
Yeah. You guys know Tori and I hate talk of rigging things like the lottery and stuff. It's not rigged. But the NBA should absolutely do a redo if the Mavericks got the number one pick. They do not deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
They should tell everyone in the room, okay, here is the results unless the results end up in the Mavericks getting the number one pick, then we're going to reshuffle and redo it until they're not number one.
Yeah, I agree. Reshuffle it until we're number one. Yeah, we got to 150 likes. Shout out to 78% of you that believed. The 22% of you that didn't, I don't know what to tell you, but you were wrong. Thank you to everyone who hit the like button. We appreciate you. That's why I got to do the poll, man, so I don't just ask throughout the stream. Because the polls work. YouTube hack. Just a nice little reminder. Real quick. March Madness. I've dropped 2 videos talking about it. Your thoughts on the tournament? Maybe sleeper teams, overrated teams? Like, I don't know. You got anything to talk about there?
I just filled out my first bracket while the stream was going on.
Nice. Who'd you have winning it?
Duke.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I had Florida because I'm a Florida believer, man. I've been a Florida believer since they were projected like 2/3 seed. I was like, yay, I might have a 3 seed this year. Win it all.
Yeah.
Because at that point in time, I got similar vibes to like UConn a couple years ago when UConn was a 4 seed. I had them in the championship, and that was the year they won it all with Klingon as a freshman. I got similar vibes. And then they made it all the way up to what? It's like, damn. Because I would have picked them if they were a 3. Probably.
I have no confidence in any team to win it.
Well, the 1 seeds are really strong this year. It's tough not to put 3 of them in my Final Four, and I always say I'm not going to put more than 2. So I've toyed around with the idea of putting Louisville in my Final Four.
They say the best strategy is to do 2 number 1s, 1 number 2 through 5. And then 1 6 through 11.
1 6 through 11 can backfire so easily. Like, if you're in a
but it's
huge
happened
pool,
like every year for 12 years or something like
that. A seed 6 through 11 in the Final Four.
I think so.
Did it? It didn't even happen last year, did it?
I thought I saw something where it was a 6 through 11 seed has made it for a decent amount of time.
Now. Last year it was UConn is a 1,
Alabama
is a 4.
Last year, right?
Oh yeah, North Carolina State. I'm tripping. Yeah, they were 11. Yeah.
The Burns kid, yeah.
Yeah. What am I talking about? 2023, you had San Diego State is a 5, Florida Atlantic is a 9, Miami is a 5, and UConn is a 4. That was a crazy year, man. That was a crazy year. You had Kansas as a 1 seed, lost to Arkansas. That was an 8 versus 1 I picked, right? I was happy about that. That was the Anthony Black year. Houston lost to Miami. They were a 1 seed. Purdue was a 1 seed. That was when they lost to Fairleigh Dickinson. And then you had Alabama as a 1 seed, lost to San Diego State. That was the Brandon Miller year, yeah. The year before that, oh man, you're going to have me put Louisville in my Final Four, huh? You had Duke as a 2. You had North Carolina as an 8. That was the Elite 8 game. That was an 8 seed versus a 15.
Yeah.
Villanova is a 2, and then Kansas is 1. I feel like this year is when that stops. I feel like the 1 seeds, there's like 6 teams that are far better. And it's the 1 seeds, and it's Alabama, and it's Tennessee. And then I feel like the 3s, 4s, 5s are weak, and the 12s, 13s, 14s are strong. I feel like it's going to shape up for a tournament that's very heavy with upsets in the first couple of rounds and ends up being like 3 1 seeds and a 2 in the Final Four.
Yeah. Someone asked me who my favorite of the, if I had to pick one of the 3 seeds to win it all, who would it be? And I was like, I don't like any of the 3 seeds.
Yeah.
Like Iowa State always.
They don't have Gilbert too. And they don't have much depth. They're just hurt.
Yeah.
I would actually really like them if they were healthy, but yeah.
Yeah. I don't trust Wisconsin at all. I don't really.
I do like Tanjay. and Blackwell. I feel like Tonje is the type of player they don't normally have.
Yeah, true.
Big body guard that can go get a bucket, not named AJ Storr because he's not he's not good. But you know what's crazy is like there's so many 11 seeds. I feel like UCLA, Loyola, Chicago, NC State. I feel like I'm forgetting one too. As I'm just going back through this, yeah, that. What you said is correct. What 11 seed would I? The thing is, Loyola Chicago, I almost had him in the Elite Eight that year too. I've had some success with 11s, but I
didn't say an 11 seed. I said 6 through 11.
Yeah, 6 through 11. Yeah, but I mean, like a lot of the years, it's an 11.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I hate to say this because it's stupid, but North Carolina probably has like just as good of.
Yeah, like North Carolina or Kansas. Like Kansas gets back to the team people thought they were going to be or something. Or,
Yeah.
Gonzaga. Right. Hopefully Gonzaga's that team, man. But
maybe it's High Point.
High Point. High Point, huh? I do like the 11 seeds this year. I think VCU is sneaky. I'm just like, who's gonna beat Duke? I don't like Arizona. I don't like Oregon. Right? Like, who's gonna beat Duke?
I mean, Bama could, I guess, but
yeah, but that's a 2. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing for like a 6 through 11 to make it. I feel like some better team needs to knock off a 1 seed, and then I know NC State was an 11 that beat 1 last year, but
maybe Edgecombe will get hot against Duke and.
Yeah, the rest of that team, though. Like, you got Jeremy Roach, right? Isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, why the hell is he there? Robert Wright is probably going to be an NBA draft pick someday, but it has to deal with Jeremy freaking Roach. I do think if I had to pick a 6 through 11, I'd pick Louisville. Because Auburn hasn't been playing as well lately. Louisville should have been a 5 or a 6. Their resume was that of a 5 or a 6 seed. The ACC does pretty decently every year. I'm not impressed with the teams at the bottom of that bracket, of that region. Michigan State, Iowa State, like Texas A&M and Michigan, I think both could get upset round 1. I think either that's just going to be Auburn easily wins that reason, or you're going to have absolute chaos.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? All right.
That's talking to Louisville?
Yeah, I should just do it. I just know that if I do it, they're going to lose in the first round.
Yeah.
So place some money on Creighton.
Yeah, it's a tough first round matchup.
Yeah. All right, I might as well put Marquette in that Elite 8 too and get a 8 versus 7. That's just going to be my chaos region. I'm taking Xavier out of the. I thought Texas could go on a run. I don't like Xavier as much. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably be making changes at like 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
so I got 2 1s, a 2, and an 8 in my final 4, yeah. Alrighty. Anything else for this post-game show? This is a fun post-game, man.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm not sure if I'll make the stream tomorrow, but we'll have Blazers Uprise live.
Yeah, it's probably going to have to go live a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
I got to drive down to Tigard. You can hear me on Blazers courtside tomorrow at 6 p.m., 6:20 a.m. That's why I'm driving down to Tigard. So that'll be fun.
Live in studio,
man, with Chris Burkhart. Yes, sir. So if you're in the Portland area, I think you can also catch it on iHeart. But yeah, so first time ever being live in a studio like that. So yeah, a little nervous, but should be fun. Should be fun. I do get nervous to go on the radio. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That's the human aspect, because I am a human. As much as Reddit will tell you otherwise. Anyway.
And then we'll be back on Friday after the Blazers play the Denver Nuggets. Is that where we play Friday?
Yeah, Denver. I mean, listen, they win that game and Phoenix loses. Now we're talking. Now we are talking. Anyway. Last minute chance if you want to join a $20 bracket pool, let me know. In the next 30 minutes. Let me know. So I can add you to the pool. Appreciate you guys. We are out of here. We'll catch you live tomorrow on the second channel. Going live a little bit earlier than normal, most likely. If my work gets crazy, you might have to cancel that stream, just FYI. Just because work's kind of crazy right now for me. So, hopefully we'll have a stream. But, of course, we'll be back live on Friday with the post-game after the Blazers take on the Nuggets, and that'll be right at the end of the first round of March Madness, so we can talk about anything that goes down during March Madness, so that'll be fun.
Yes.
Yep. Anyway, we'll catch you guys later. That's a wrap. The Blazers beat the Grizzlies. They finally beat a team above 500 for the first time since February 6th. Now only 2 games out of 10th place in the West. 2 games out of the play-in. Can they actually make a run? We're going to find out over the next couple of weeks. It's interesting talking about a play-in or playoff race at this time of year. We're not used to it anymore. But they've gotten close enough that it's a legitimate conversation now. The Blazers just going to have to win a couple tough games against good teams here coming up in their next 5 before they get an easier month of April. Leave a like on the way out of here. Shout out to those of you who donated. We appreciate you. Shout out to our channel members. You can become one. Click the join button below. Check the description box below for all our social media platforms. Follow us there. And also join our Discord. Link in description below. Once again, you can catch me tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific on Rip City Radio 620. Looking forward to that. And we are out of here. Have a good rest of your night. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.